Ariana Wells is 26 years old. The case file contains over 40 character references from relatives, colleagues, and wedding guests. Everyone agrees on the word. A teacher of younger classes in Ridgewood. According to the testimony of the school principal, in 4 years of work, no conflicts, no sick leave without a certificate. A former classmate at the survey stated that Ariana was a person who remembered the birthdays of other people's children. Neighbors confirmed. Welcoming, punctual, predictable. Her social media account will be studied by the investigation later, second by second. Photos of baking, student drawings, mountains. No conflicting comments, no suspicious contact. A victim's profile from which it is impossible to extract a motive. The only dark spot in the biography is a car accident 2 years before the wedding. A hospital in Denver, 3 weeks of hospitalization. The details of the discharge in the first days of the investigation are not available. Medical secrecy. The investigation does not yet know that the key to the whole case lies in these papers. The Wedding Lodge, Aspenvale, under Ridgeway, Ouray County, Colorado. Saturday. 80 guests. Ceremony with a view of the Sneffels Range. Rings exchanged. Act signed. At 17:23, a friend's camera captures the last confirmed frame. Ariana catches her own bouquet, thrown in jest. A-line lace dress. Her laughter is heard on the recording. This is the last documented sound of her voice for 6 months ahead. According to her girlfriend's testimony, between the photoshoot and the dance, the bride said she would step out for 5 minutes to catch her breath. The direction is behind the photo zone, towards the forest line. No one followed her. At 18:10, the coordinator starts searching. The bride is expected for the first dance. Ariana's phone is lying on the table by the mirror, charged. No missed calls. At 1900, 80 guests stretch out in a chain along the slope. Evening dresses, lacquered shoes, the light of phones. A video by one of the guests captured the bride's mother sitting at a table with an uncut cake. Her legs won't hold. Her gaze freezes in one spot. She is carried to the lodge in her arms. Until midnight, the sheriff of Ouray County is working. Projectors, a cynologist, a helicopter from Montrose with a thermal imager. The result is zero. The only find is a chain of women's heel prints from the photo zone to the service road. The tracks go straight. No signs of struggle. No second pair of shoes. The chain breaks on the gravel. Nothing further. The groom, Mark, sits on the lodge stairs until dawn. The suit is unchanged. According to the report of the first patrol, he answers questions with a delay, his fingers constantly turning the new ring. When asked to come in to testify, he gets up on the second try. His knees won't straighten. The survey of the guests lasts for 3 days. None of them saw any outsiders. The parking service confirms all cars are accounted for. None left during the critical window. The search lasts for 11 days. Volunteers comb the Uncompahgee forest in squares. Dogs pick up the scent and get lost on the service road. At one point, every time, the wedding arch stands in the rain for another week. The staff gives the same testimony. No one dares to disassemble it. On the 12th day, the case is reclassified as a kidnapping. One piece of evidence. A point of breakage on the gravel. Next time, Ariana Wells's soles will touch asphalt in 6 months and 4 days. At night, on the side of a federal highway, in a wedding dress she never had, 6 months and 4 days after her disappearance. The Ariana Wells case has gone cold. No hot leads, the volunteer headquarters has been disbanded, and the billboard with her photo at the entrance to Ridgeway has faded in the sun. Federal Route 550, the section near Dalton Pass, is known as the $1 Million Highway. Around 10 at night, Patrolman Gaines is heading south. In the light of the headlights, a figure on the side of the road. A woman, walking steadily along the edge of the asphalt, facing traffic. A white wedding dress in the snow. The air temperature is around 0. Haynes turns on the body camera according to protocol and stops. This record will later be watched by half the country. On it, the woman does not run, does not call for help, does not tremble. She returns to the patrolman and, according to the audio transcript, asks if he is a guest and if they are already sitting down at the table. The voice is even. Breathing is calm. Pupils, as the medical examination will later record, react normally. No traces of alcohol or drugs will be shown by the analysis. Gaines passes the characteristics to the dispatcher. The database gives a match in 40 seconds. Wells, Ariana, missing, Uray County. The patrolman, according to his report, asks the dispatcher twice. In the operational group that goes out on the highway, no one believes in the coincidence until the fingerprints are taken. The prints match completely. It's her, alive, well-groomed. Weight within the normal range recorded in medical records before disappearance. The hair is cut and groomed. Someone has been taking care of it regularly. The nails are neat. There is no sign of violence on the body, no bruises, no hematomas. For 6 months, a person did not just survive. She was kept in order. The mother and fiancé are informed at night. According to the report of the officer who made the call, Mark Wells does not respond for a few seconds during the conversation. Then a sound of a falling object and rapid breathing are heard. He arrives at the police station in Uray in a time that is physically impossible without speeding. But the meeting is postponed. The reason is the discovery of a forensic expert during the description of things. A dress. On the day of her disappearance, Ariana had a lace A silhouette. The style is documented in 400 photographs of guests, in the contract with the salon, on the video of the ceremony. The mistake is excluded. The dress in which she was taken off the highway is a satin-cut mermaid. Another brand, another corset size. On the inside seam, a stortak, not cut. The fabric is without abrasions. The division is without signs of prolonged wear, except for dust from the roadside for one night. The conclusion of the forensic expert in the case is formulated dryly. The dress was purchased recently, worn for the first or second time. The clarification entered in the protocol in a separate line turns the case 180 degrees. The size is chosen exactly according to the figure. Not approximately, exactly. Someone kept the missing person for half a year, fed her, cut her hair, watched her weight, and then went to a wedding salon and bought her a new wedding dress, knowing her measurements to the centimeter. The case is given a red priority. A group of especially important cases leaves Denver, headed by Detective Ruiz. And in the interrogation room sits the only witness of all 6 months, Ariana herself. She politely folds her hands on her knees, looks at the mirror glass and, according to protocol, asks the next question. How much longer? Because the guests are waiting. Ruiz looks at her through the glass and records the first observation in the case. The victim does not ask any questions about where she is and what happened. She behaves like a person who is getting married today. The problem is that she behaved the same way yesterday. It turns out, all 200 days before that. 200 days a person was in someone's hands. The investigation receives the main witness, and in the first day understands that it has received the main riddle, the first interrogation. According to the protocol, in response to the question of where she was for the last 6 months, Ariana Wells replies that she was preparing for the ceremony. In response to the question of who was holding her, she repeats the word held and adjusts the cuff of her dress. At the request to describe the place where she woke up yesterday, she describes the room. A mirror, a coat rack with clothes, flowers. She does not mention details that would allow the room to be tied to a location. The window, according to her, overlooked the mountains. Within 100 miles, mountains are visible from every window. She did not escape. This is recorded in a separate conclusion. Shoes without running marks. Pulse at detention is normal. Clothes have no signs of the forest, only roadside dust. She didn't leave the captivity. She came out to the guests. On the second day, a forensic psychiatrist is connected to the case. Her report goes to Höss's table and makes the case unprecedented. Testing shows the victim's short-term memory is reset. New faces are not fixed. The psychiatrist left the office and returned 3 times. 3 times Ariana got acquainted with her again. Pulse, pupils, muscle tone, unchanged. The brain doesn't simulate, it actually erases. Meanwhile, deep-seated habits hold tight. When asked what day it is today, the answer is unchanged. The day of my wedding. 7 times a day, in the same intonation. The key test is conducted on the 3rd day. Ariana is shown a photo of Mark. According to the video, she examines the photo politely, like a stranger, and returns it. Recognition reactions, 0. The skin galvanic sensor is silent. To a direct question, who her fiancé is, she responds without pause, my fiancé, without a name, without a face. The setting is there. There is no person in it. Mark is allowed to meet under supervision. The record fixes. He enters, stops 2 steps away, hands pressed to his sides, fingers clenched into fists to white knuckles. Ariana raises her eyes and asks if he is from the service, because the guests have probably already gathered. On the recording, Mark's breathing is heard to be labored. He exits the room, holding onto the wall. In the hallway, he vomits. On the 4th day, the case leaks to the press. Haim's body cam footage is leaked. Within a day, it racks up tens of millions of views. The headlines are the same. The $1 Million Highway Ghost Bride. TV vans from both coasts are parked outside the Ouray precinct. Theories on the airwaves. Cult, amnesia simulation, a staged event for money. The investigation, meanwhile, runs into a wall that Ruiz formulates in a report in 1 line. The only person who saw the kidnapper every day for 200 days is unable to recognize him. The perfect witness, perfectly erased. And then Ruiz turns the case in the only available direction, to those who were nearby before the disappearance. She reviews the first interrogations of 6 months ago and stops the recording on the fiancé, Mark Wells. Responds with delays. 3 times avoids the question about Ariana's trips to Denver. On clarification about her health, a spasm. The hand with the glass freezes halfway to the mouth. The water goes in small circles. Ruiz rewinds and looks again, then writes in the case a second observation. The victim does not remember anything. The fiancé remembers everything, and something of this is hiding. The next call for interrogation is signed in his name. Mark Wells comes to the interrogation voluntarily, without a lawyer. According to the protocol to the first question, why a month before the wedding he took his fiancée to a clinic in Denver, he responds with a refusal. The wording is recorded verbatim. It's personal. On the repeated question, he puts his palms on the table and doesn't move them anymore. The phalanges of the fingers turn white. The answer is the same. Ruiz enters from the other side. The mobile operator's bill for the night of the disappearance. At 17:47, Mark's phone goes off the grid. It returns at 18:27. 40 minutes of silence, exactly in the window when Ariana reached the service road and dissolved. Mark's explanation is recorded in the protocol. The phone ran out of battery. The operator records another. The charge at the time of the last ping, more than half. At the announcement of this figure, Mark breaks out in sweat on his temples. He asks for water. She takes 3 sips, the glass clinking against her teeth. Next up is finances. 2 months before the wedding, a life insurance policy was taken out in Ariana's name. The sum is 6 zeros, The beneficiary is her husband. Mark explains that he didn't arrange it, doesn't know the details. The protocol records a 7-second pause before his response. The testimony is given by the bride's friend, the same one who caught the bouquet. According to the protocol, a week before the ceremony, she saw a scene in the kitchen of the couple's house. Mark abruptly took something from Ariana's hands and hid it in his pocket. When asked what it was, the witness replies, "Small pieces of paper, handwritten." Ariana, in her words, stood still after that, staring at her empty palms. The witness adds a detail that the investigation highlights with a marker. She remembers at least 3 such scenes. The picture is coming together. A man hiding medical trips, a phone that's silent in the window of abduction, insurance, withholding papers from his future wife. The prosecutor formulates a working version. The groom staged the disappearance, kept his wife in a controlled location for half a year, provided care, hence the weight, haircut, manicure. And when the control failed and she got out onto the highway, he didn't manage to intercept her. The version explains everything except one thing: the dress. Why the holder would buy a new wedding dress for the captive, the prosecutor's group has no answer. In the working materials, against this point, there is a note. The motive is unclear. Possible fixation. During the 3rd interrogation, Ruiz utters the word clinic for the 3rd time in an hour. The reaction is recorded by the video camera. Mark breaks the pencil he was twirling in his fingers in half. He gets up. The scream is recorded in the protocol verbatim. "You don't understand. I was defending her." When asked from whom, he stops, sits down. Breathing is torn, nostrils are inflated. Remains silent for 11 minutes, then asks for a lawyer. The city delivers a verdict before the prosecutor. On the fence of the Aspenvale Lodge, a white dress is found nailed with a paint inscription. "Where were you, Mark?" The photo spreads through the network in an hour. Film crews are on stakeout outside his house. Neighbors are giving comments on the air. He was always closed, always hiding something. The district attorney sets a date for the indictment. Kidnapping, unlawful detention. Ruiz remains in the case with one question that doesn't let her sign the final report. The person who took care of the captive for half a year, including manicures, and the person who breaks pencils at the word clinic, are behaving like 2 different people. The answer lies in a Denver clinic, behind 7 seals of medical secrecy. And at the 7th hour of the next interrogation, these seals will crack. The 7th hour of interrogation. The lawyer advises the client to remain silent 3 times. According to the video recording, Mark Wells sits motionless for the last 40 minutes, his gaze fixed on the table. Then he pushes the lawyer away with his hand and utters a phrase recorded verbatim in the protocol. "Get the map from the Denver clinic. I will sign the consent." 3 years later, medical documents are lying on Ruiz's table, and the case is turned upside down. 2 years ago, the car accident, head injury, a diagnosis confirmed by 3 independent examinations, a rare anterograde memory dysfunction. The mechanism is described in the neurologist's conclusion dryly. New faces and events are not consolidated, erased within hours. Deep emotional settings, laid down before the injury or repeated many times, are preserved. The forecast is stable. There is no progress. There is no regression. Ariana has been living with this for 2 years. Mark built a system: reminder notes, daily rituals, repetition. Those papers he sharply took away in front of his girlfriend were overdue reminders that needed to be replaced with fresh ones so as not to confuse the cycle. The witness saw 3 seconds of the scene. The investigation saw a motive. Mark explains the concealment of the diagnosis in the protocol with one phrase: "If no one knows, no one will take advantage of it." He didn't even tell her mother. The wedding was planned so that the ceremony would fall on deep installations. Ariana repeated the date, name, sequence of the day to herself for months. The installation, "I'm getting married soon," was hammered into memory as insurance against forgetting. Then the suspicions pour in. 40 minutes without a network. Mark drove to her medications to a 24-hour pharmacy in Ureia, a reserve for the honeymoon. The pharmacy's camera confirms he's on the record. The time coincides minute by minute. The receipt is found in the glove compartment of his car. The date and time are punched by the cashier. The area near the pharmacy is a dead zone for the operator's coverage, which confirms the technical conclusion. Insurance. The wedding organizer testifies that the policy was included in a package deal along with wedding insurance. It was formalized by a manager. Signatures were put among 36 other papers. The amount is typical for the package. The beneficiary was designated by default. The alibi is being checked to the minute. It is ironclad. The prosecutor drops the draft indictment. The press service is silent. The city, which has already nailed the skirt to the fence, has nothing to say. Then the psychiatrist, familiar with the diagnosis, asks Ruiz for permission to enter a service note into the case file. The text takes up 4 lines and turns the entire investigation around. If the victim does not fix new faces but keeps the setting "I'm getting married soon," she cannot impose a foreign script on her. But you can take a place inside her own. Anyone who tells her, "I'm your fiancé" every morning, will be her fiancé every morning. Without violence, without support. The victim herself will open the door and sit down next to her. The conclusion of the note: the kidnapper did not break her memory. He drove into her. Therefore, he knew the diagnosis exactly. Ruiz picks up Mark's protocol and asks the last question of the day. Who else knew? The answer is recorded by the video camera. Mark is silent for a long time. His face changes then. His jaw muscles stone. His gaze slowly focuses as if he's looking through the wall of the office at a specific person. The transcript has a one-line answer. 2 people knew. Himself and the one person he trusted as much as himself. The name from the transcript is Dan Reimer, Mark's best friend from college, a groomsman at his wedding. Ruiz brings up his profile, and the first few pages read like a model citizen's resume. For half a year, Dan Reimer was the face of the search. He drove Mark to sweep the squares. He held him by the shoulders at press conferences. These frames went through all the channels. He coordinated the volunteer headquarters, kept shift tables, printed leaflets. The sheriff of the county mentions him in the report as the most active civilian in the case. The investigation saw him every week. The investigation never looked at him. Ruiz starts with access to the diagnosis. Mark's testimony. 3 weeks before the wedding, Dan was helping him with pre-wedding documents. He worked alone in the home office for about an hour. In that office, in the top drawer, lay Ariana's medical file. Mark didn't close the drawer. You don't close it on your best friend. Further, geography. The business trip where the shoe tracks were cut off. The lodge manager confirms with the protocol. The witness, the groom, was in charge of parking the guests' cars on the wedding day. He personally positioned the cars on the service road. He knew where each car was standing, where the blind spots were, and when the staff went to dinner. Then there's the alibi. In the initial interrogations 6 months ago, it was recorded. Reimer stated that he was in the hall all evening. At that time, no one checked it. He was not a suspect. Now, analysts are combing through the entire photo array of the wedding. 400 guest shots, operator video, stories. Dan Reimer is present in dozens of frames until 1730. After 1730, none. Neither in the frame, nor in the background, nor in the reflections of mirrors. The man who taught the investigation to search for the missing for half a year has disappeared from his friend's wedding exactly during the abduction window. Ruiz does not summon him for questioning. Instead, she pulls the only material thread, the dress. The article from the label is punched through the supplier's databases. The dress was sold in 4 salons in the state. A size matching Ariana's was sold in one place, a bridal salon in Montrose, a 40-minute drive from Ridgeway, over the past 3 months. Cash payment. No name. No delivery to the address. No loyalty program. The buyer took the dress himself. The salon's camera keeps records. On the video, a month before Ariana appeared on the road, a man in a baseball cap, the visor is lowered. The face is unreadable, but the forensic experts work with what they have. The height matches Reimer's anthropometry within the margin of error. The gait is a characteristic roll onto the outer edge of the right foot. The expert finds the same roll on the footage of press conferences where Reimer approaches the microphone. And most importantly, the man on the recording signs the receipt with his left hand. The watch is on his right wrist. Ruiz raises the video of the press conferences once again. Freeze frame. Dan Reimer is holding a microphone. A watch is on his right hand. Tonight, a warrant for covert surveillance and a request for his finances are being processed. The first statements arrive by morning. Over the past 6 months, Reimer has regularly withdrawn cash in the same amounts, twice a month, like for household expenses. There are no addresses on the statements. Cash leaves no addresses, but the dress left one. More precisely, what the buyer ordered along with it. One line on the salon's receipt, which no one initially paid attention to. Delivery. A full-length mirror for the bride. And the courier service keeps the addresses of all deliveries. The courier service issues a receipt within an hour. A full-length mirror, cash on delivery. Delivery address, Twin Creek Cottage, dirt road of Highway 550. 8 miles from the point where Patrolman Gaines picked up Ariana. The cottage rental is registered to a proxy person, a pensioner from Arizona, who, according to the survey, rented the housing through the internet to a man who paid cash by mail and asked not to disturb. The storm is scheduled for dawn. The drone's thermal imager records. Inside is empty. The group enters without resistance. What the operatives see inside is filmed by a forensic expert. The recording lasts 40 minutes. There is almost no conversation on it. The living room is converted into a ceremonial hall. The wedding arch with live flowers. The flowers are fresh, polished. The floristic sponge is wet. 20 chairs in 2 rows, each with a bow. A fabric path to the arch. In the refrigerator, a 2-tiered wedding cake, the production date by the baker stamp, a day before Ariana's appearance on the track. On the table, in a stack, invitations with embossing, Ariana and Daniel. The date is not specified. In the drawer, 30 of the same blanks, spoiled. The date is written and crossed out. Different dates. He postponed the ceremony again and again. The bedroom explains 200 days. A full-length mirror, the same one with a duplicate. A hook with a lace A silhouette. A dress from the day of disappearance, washed, sewn. Next to it, a second, satin, empty case. On the wall is a handwritten schedule for the day. The handwriting matches Reimer's volunteer tables. Wake up, breakfast, walk, fitting, dinner. The first item is underlined. Acquaintance. On the nightstand is a stack of cards with the same text, written in large letters. Today you will meet your fiancé, Daniel. The wedding is soon. Everything is fine. The psychiatrist, having familiarized herself with the photo, adds an explanation to the case. He recreated Mark's system. Notes, rituals, repetition. Every morning he would enter the room as a stranger and become a fiancé in an hour. 200 mornings in a row. The same answer. Why get married? In Reimer's notebook, seized from the cottage, there is a page that the examination cites in the indictment. The setting, "I'm getting married soon," cannot be fed forever. It requires a resolution. After the real oath, the deep anchor had to be rewritten to a new one. "I am married to Dan." The cycle closed. The question of guests disappeared. The solution to the escape is mundane to the point of being terrifying. A receipt from a gas station in Durango. A day before Ariana appeared on the highway, Reimer paid for gas 100 miles from the cottage. A jewelry store in Durango confirms the order. A pair of rings, engraving, same-day pickup. He went to pick up the rings. For the first time in 200 days, he didn't lock the doors. Why, if she never tried to leave? And she woke up on the day that was her wedding day every morning, saw the dress on the hanger, put it on, and went to the guests. On foot, along the roadside, towards the headlights. Reimer is taken on the highway 550 the next morning, a mile from the cottage. He doesn't run away. According to the arrest team's report, he gets out of the car himself, puts his hands on the hood on command. In the pocket of his jacket, a case with 2 wedding rings. The internal engraving is recorded by the inspection protocol. Ariana and Daniel, forever. During the detention, he does not ask for a lawyer, does not ask about the charges. According to the report, he asks the convoy one question twice with a minute interval. Is everything okay with her? Has she eaten? Ouray County Court. The trial lasts 3 weeks. The hall does not accommodate everyone. Millions watch the broadcast. The line of defense is recorded in the transcripts. The accused did not use violence. The victim was well groomed, fed, surrounded by care. The defender repeats the phrase 3 times. He did not touch her with his finger. On the 4th repetition, the prosecution asks for permission to demonstrate a video evidence. On the screen is a recording from the convoy corridor, made a week before the trial. Ariana Wells, accompanied by a social worker, walks past the bailiff and, according to the transcript subtitles, asks him if he is a guest and how much longer until the table. The bailiff does not respond. Ariana politely nods and walks on. The recording lasts 26 seconds. After it, the defense does not ask questions until the end of the hearing. 2 jurors, according to the bailiff's note, request a break. The prosecution expert formulates the essence of the crime in one sentence, which is quoted by all morning releases. The defendant did not deprive the victim of freedom with locks. He deprived her of the very possibility of knowing that she was not free. The verdict is unanimous. Kidnapping of a person with aggravating circumstances. The sentence? 24 years. According to the video recording of the announcement, Reimer listens to the term standing without reaction. The pulse, according to the convoy, is even. But he's not looking at the judge. All the cameras capture the direction of his gaze. The 3rd row, the seat by the aisle. Ariana, who was brought to the announcement at the request of the prosecutor, looks back, politely, evenly, as at a stranger, for the last time. Then, what is not shown in the releases, a rehabilitation center in Ridgeway. Ariana is transferred there a month after the trial. Doctors keep a document called in the card a diary of anchors. Deep installations can be rewritten by slow multi-month repetition. The mechanism is the same as the one used by Reimer. The difference is in the hands that apply it. Mark Wells comes every morning. The procedure is recorded in the visit log with the accuracy of a ritual. 8:30, a cup of coffee. He calls his name. She introduces herself. Every day, from scratch. The staff testifies. For the entire time, he did not miss a single morning. In winter, he came to clear the roads, waited in the parking lot. Progress is recorded dryly, like a temperature sheet. The 100th morning, no changes. The 150th, the victim takes coffee before he introduces himself. the 214th morning. According to the nurse's record, Ariana looks at the visitor longer than usual and utters a phrase that is recorded in the logbook of anchors in a separate line. "I know you from somewhere." The last document in the case is dated 2 years later. Federal Correctional Institution. Inspection of the incoming correspondence of prisoner Reimer. Someone from the fans of the case, no return address, sends him a newspaper clipping, a brief message about the marriage of Mark and Ariana Wells, a repeat ceremony, a narrow circle, without the press. According to the guard's report, the prisoner did not commit any violations. He was allowed to leave the cutout. During a scheduled inspection of the cell, it is found on the wall above the bed, attached with paste. Underneath it is a pencil signature, entered into the inspection report verbatim. "See you at the silver wedding, until the end of his term, 22 years. Mark and Ariana's silver wedding is in 23.